Welcome to Growth Investing Mastery. Today we'll review Astera Labs Q1 2025 earnings. The company's stock ticker is ALAB. As a reminder, this is not investment advice or a recommendation to buy Astera Labs or any other stocks. Astera Labs is a next-gen AI hardware platform. Let's jump right into what the Q1 guides were. Astera guided revenue from 151 to 155 million, and that would be up 138% year over year at the top end of the range. GAAP earnings per share was guided from 3 cents to 4 cents, and adjusted earnings per share was guided from 28 cents to 29 cents. Analysts had expected that revenue would be 152 million on average, and adjusted EPS would be 28 cents on average. Now let's take a look at the actual results. Revenue came in at 159.4 million, which was up 144% year over year and 13% quarter over quarter. GAAP EPS was 18 cents, and that absolutely crushed the range of 3 to 4 cents. And they didn't mention any one-time benefits this quarter, so it seems like profitability is really taking a step up here. Adjusted EPS was 33 cents, and that beat the top end of the range by 4 cents as well. So overall, it was an impressive result with revenue beating slightly and profitability beating by a wide margin. Let's now look at the new guidance Astera Labs gave for their upcoming Q2. The company guided Q2 revenue to be in a range of 170 to 175 million, which would be up 128% year over year and up 10% quarter over quarter. GAAP EPS was guided from 10 cents to 11 cents, and since the company just got 18 cents of GAAP EPS on lower revenue, I'm not too sure why they're guiding GAAP EPS to be this low, but I'm not too concerned because this current quarter, they guided GAAP EPS to be low, and it came in much higher. Adjusted EPS was guided from 31 cents to 32 cents for quarter two. And again, I'm wondering why this wasn't guided a bit higher because the current quarter came in at 33 cents. Let's take a look at the numbers that Astera Labs gave us in Q1. And for each metric Astera Labs gives, they report a GAAP and adjusted number. GAAP gross margin was 74.9%, and adjusted gross margin was exactly the same, so there were no adjustments to the GAAP number there. GAAP operating income was 11.3 million, and adjusted was 53.7 million. 53.7 seems like a really high number for operating income, which is good. GAAP operating margin was 7.1% and adjusted was 33.7%. Again, the adjusted number really stands out as strong there. GAAP net income was 31.8 million and adjusted 59.6 million. And GAAP EPS was 18 cents with adjusted as 33 cents. Astera Labs gives us really concise set of metrics, so these are the only metrics they gave. And they pretty much stick to these metrics, so our number slide is going to be a bit shorter than typical here. They did mention cash flows from activities in the quarter was 10.5 million, and the company now has 925 million of cash and 0 debt. Let's get into the Q1 narrative that Astera Labs told. They said they're seeing strong demand for PCIe scale-up and Ethernet scale-out in custom ASIC platforms. The PCIe version 6 portfolio is ramping in Q2 for GPU rack scale based systems, and the company is seeing significant traction with the Scorpio fabric solutions. They are currently shipping the P-series version of Scorpio, and they mentioned they're accelerating R&D development to further advance the platform for the future. Management mentioned they recently added Aries PCIe smart gearboxes and PCIe over optics, which are 2 new products, and it's really good to see that Astera Labs is continuing to innovate and produce new products. There is a cloud-scale interop lab for customers to design and learn and build their next systems of ASICs or other chips. The UA-Link Consortium recently ratified a 200G spec, which is in version 1.0, and Astera is a leading consortium member of the UA-Link. The company mentioned Aries continues to see strong demand, and the Taurus product family also demonstrated strong growth in the quarter. Revenue is diversifying across multiple AI platforms, and that's for both custom ASICs and merchant GPUs across different product families. Recently, they started using this term merchant GPUs to refer to companies which aren't hyperscalers and are buying their solutions out of the box. As mentioned, the PCIe version 6 technology is expanding to gearboxes and optical connectivity. The gearboxes allow PCIe version 5 to talk to version 6, and vice versa, so it's a connectivity solution. Let's continue looking at some of the narrative that Astera told on this earnings report. They said multiple hyperscalers are designing the gearbox into both AI and general-purpose platforms. Astera's broad portfolio of PCIe version 6 puts them in a leadership position. The company's intelligent connectivity platform can help integrate Aries and Scorpio in customer solutions. There is a growing interest in the Scorpio X series, and that's ramping pre-production in Q2. There's also a collaboration with a company called Wistron, which is a Taiwanese OEM, and that's on the Blackwell MGX systems. I don't know too much about MGX or what that is, but it's promising to see there's these new collaborations that Astera is making with important partners. The Leo CXL solution is expanding general-purpose compute platforms, and that's ramping in the second half of 2025. The company is scaling its R&D organization to expand and broaden the long-term opportunity, and the company has been on a hiring spree recently. They did mention they expect Aries and Taurus to grow on a sequential basis, which is encouraging for us investors. The Scorpio product is predicted to grow sequentially in Q2 as initial designs start to ramp up. On tariffs, the company said, "We have not seen any material impact on our business, but it is fluid and the rules are subject to change." I was really encouraged here to see this comment that there wasn't a big impact from tariffs. That was one of my biggest considerations going into this report, as the company was trading down a lot on tariff news. In the Q&A, management said hyperscalers stuck to their capex in the recent calls, and one actually increased. There was one issue in the quarter with the Chinese retimer business, and that got cut off completely. They used the term hard stop, and they did bake this into their guidance coming up. However, the Chinese product revenue makes up less than 10% of total revenue, and management mentioned it's manageable given the strength of the business. I was pleased to see the company didn't use this excuse that part of the business got cut off, and it seems like where they landed in the actual guidance was still quite strong considering this aspect. The company mentioned they have a full holistic portfolio that fits in with the UA-Link Consortium infrastructure that's being planned coming up. Let's look at some more details of the narrative that Astera Labs gave. An analyst mentioned that Taurus growth is continuing in the quarter. The Taurus 50 gig solution is continuing to grow according to management, and there's multiple design wins at the lead customer. The lead customer is building an internal AI accelerating program, which is just in the ramp phase right now. The company is excited about the growing interest in the Scorpio X family, and the fabric switches, which is the Scorpio product, have a high average selling price. Scorpio X series has what's called an anchor socket that acts like a mothership, and a lot more products can attach to the mothership. Fabric devices are built from the ground up for AI, which is a competitive advantage to companies like Marvell, who are from a legacy standpoint. Management mentioned that hyperscalers need to consider the supply chain when they plan ahead and look at risk management. Astera is currently benefiting from both training and inference growth, and they released a Scorpio-based inference system for smaller scale inference. That's really encouraging again that there's all these new products and design wins, and the company seems really keen to innovate on new products for their hyperscaler customers. They reiterated that guidance takes a conservative view on how some of the systems are built. Astera Labs is well suited to deliver the entire connectivity at the rack level, said management. On the Scorpio X series, management said that customers are a very rapidly growing market for us, and they estimate that Scorpio will become the biggest product line. The anchor socket is Greenfield TAM, and it services the entire AI rack. That's really great to see. They see this as a greenfield product that doesn't have a lot of competition. The company went into detail how the UA Link consortium is far superior, in their opinion, to the Ultra Ethernet consortium. They said that Ethernet is a legacy standard. Even if Ethernet is being upgraded, it still has some issues, and they see the UA Link consortium as more forward-looking. Let's summarize what we've learned about the Q1 2025 report for Astera Labs. They mentioned there's surprisingly little tariff impact to their business. That was really encouraging from my perspective that they don't see much tariff impact, because that was one of my big questions going into this earnings report. The actual results and guidance show that the numbers and narrative are intact, and profitability metrics beat by a lot in the quarter. Additionally, this quarter lost out on a lot of Chinese revenue, and they still beat their numbers and raised guidance. The company is heavily ramping product lines in Q2, and especially the second half of the year, so I'm expecting the growth story to continue. They also mentioned that hyperscaler spend looks on track, so it doesn't look like their main revenue source is going to be cut off anytime soon. I was surprised to see the company down after hours and down a little bit after the market opened. I thought this was a really strong result, and it answered some questions about the tariffs and how their business is doing. My action here is going to be to hold my main position, and I may look for opportunities to add a little bit, especially if the price gets beat up more. This concludes the video on Astera Labs earnings, and if you enjoyed the video, leave me a like or comment below. As a reminder, this is not investment advice or recommendations to buy Astera or any other stocks. Thank you.